Welcome back, Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic / non-classic. This is episode number 280 and Doubleshot number 211. Okay. First up, Green Arrow Volume 1, The Midas Touch, with a few different writers on it, and I'm going to explain this. The writers are Dan Jurgens, who I met this past weekend, J.T. Kroll, and Keith Giffen. Dan Jurgens also does the artwork on some of the issues with George Perez, Ray McCarthy, and Injo Carleo. Now, there is an explanation for this of why the multiple writers. During this period of time, basically, this volume had trouble keeping a writer on for a certain period of time. For the first 3 issues, you had 2 writers, J.T. Kroll and Keith Giffen. Well, J.T. Kroll wrote the first issue alone. Yes. The second issue, also done by Kroll. Let's see here. Here we go. Starting with issue 3, Dan Jurgens takes over as the co-writer of the book. And I think he does it for pretty much the rest, the whole entire of these 6 issues. Because then, J.T. Kroll is replaced by Keith Giffen, who does the other 3 issues. So in 6 issues, this book has already gone through 3 writers and multiple artists. Now, one thing I can definitely say about the artwork, it's really good. Yes. The artwork, here's some artwork by the awesome Dan Jurgens. This is gorgeous artwork. And having him doing the artwork for Green Arrow, that's a good idea. Because he has drawn Green Arrow before. He was the original artist for Mike Grohl's run on Green Arrow that started back in the late 80s. That volume lasted for 137 issues. And of course, you had the awesome George Perez on some of the artwork. My guess is J.T. Kroll must have had trouble with the editorial interference at this point in time, because this is the first 6 issues of Volume 5. Though for some reason, Wikipedia and DC Wiki referred to this volume as Volume 7, even though it's Volume 6. They're drawn really well. The story in here is okay. Now, some of you might notice something odd about Green Arrow when you look at the cover. He's got no goatee. Yeah, for some reason they thought it would be a good idea for him to shave off his goatee. I don't know why. Heck, even Dan DiDio admit this is actually a mistake they made. Even they admit this is actually one of the mistakes that Dan DiDio actually admitted this was a bad idea to do. That, along with having Nightwing wear red and black instead of having blue and black. Yeah, even he admitted that. And in the current book, he's got his goatee back. Okay, now there is this one character who I think is probably supposed to be their version of Shadow. This woman here, I don't remember her name. There's several villains in here, and then they are completely forgettable. Like, well, one thing I should talk about is the costume. The costume is fine. I got no problem with this costume. This costume is great. It's a nice change from the norm. And also, I should also noteworthy about this is that these issues came out a full year before the Arrow TV show started. And also, for some reason, they thought it'd be a good idea to base Green Arrow out of Seattle instead of Star City. My guess is more of taking notes of Mike Grohl's run. Now, these are the first set of villains that they come across in this volume. As for who these villains are, I don't have any idea. That's the problem with this particular book. Green Arrow's written perfectly fine. I got no problem with the character himself, and he also gets some supporting characters as well. Basically, he has a support crew. There's a couple problems with this particular set of issues. One, the villains are completely forgettable. Heck, even after reading this, I completely forgot the villains' names. Yeah, that's how bad it is, basically, when you forget the villains' names. I don't think they actually list off the names of the villains at all in these issues. Here's one of the people who's Naomi. This is one of his support crew. Yeah, In the first issue was her first appearance. Okay, fine. I don't have a problem with her being there. they basically be behind the scenes person. My guess is they must have borrowed some stuff from Batman, so that's the reason why they're doing this. I mean, I also like the fact they allowed him to keep his domino mask, though for some reason how it would stick out of his face is completely strange. And also, he puts his hood up a couple times in here. The rest of the time, he just keeps his hood down for some reason. Now, I don't know who these villains are. I honestly don't know. But the storytelling for this is, like, okay, for the most part. I mean, I'm sure this is probably not these writers' best work they've actually done. I mean, the only reason why J.T. Crowe was writing the opening issues of this because he was the writer from the previous volume when the book was relaunched 5 years ago. That was relaunched again recently. Let's see if I can try to find out who these villains are. Yeah, they're quite weird villains. Let's see here. See if I can find the villain names here. Let's see. I'm looking. Emerald City, really. One looks like a fire ripoff. Yeah, one looks like fire. Let's see here. I'm looking. I'm not seeing any villain names. Okay, we have Rush. Okay. Alright, it looks like the lead of the group that was talking in the previous issue, that's Rush. But as for the rest of the villains, they don't list their names at all. Yeah, I mean, there's some other villains introduced in here as well. But, yeah, it's almost like you create villains. I think there's one name, I think this woman here, I think her name is Rose. I just remember her name out, Rose. I don't think they had any idea what to do with these villains. I mean, they just show up out of nowhere, and as far as I know, these villains never showed up again. I don't remember the villain showed up in the Synthes one. She took over after these writers left. It's almost like the villains in here are completely forgettable. As for the story in here, well, it's just a series of random events. That's the whole point of it. I mean, it's not as good. I mean, and the Synthes one did this kind of help improve it a bit. Okay, but these are okay issues in here. They're written fine, and the artwork is gorgeous. It's just that the villains are completely forgettable, and the story is just all over the place. So I give this a 7.75 out of 10. I want to respect people who worked on this. The artwork I do give high praise for. All right, next up is Spiderman Marvel Team Up. This one collects issues 50 to 70 and 75. Now, there are a few multi-parters in here, which this is something. Now, the writing in here is done by Chris Claremont and Ralph Macchino, and the artwork in here is done by the awesome John Byrne. Get that. Here's some artwork samples. Basically, first thing starts off with, I think it's a two-parter, if not mistaken. Actually, no, it starts off with 4 loosely connected issues. Basically, issues 15 and 62 are 4 loosely connected issues because, even though the first 2 is kind of a two-parter, the neat thing about issues 61 and 62, it picks up right where the previous issue leaves off. So I kind of consider these 4 loosely connected issues. And of course, you have 63 and 64, which is the Iron Fist two-parter. And then you have another two-parter for, let's see if I can get to him. Here we go. For the first American appearance of Captain Britain, where they fight Arcade. Yep. And this goes on for 2 issues. And then pretty much after these 2 issues, the next, as far as I can tell, the next few issues are just standalone issues. I mean, you have 67 where he teams up with Tyke. I mean, the first couple of issues he teams up with Yellow Jacket and the Wasp. Next couple of issues he teams up with the Fantastic Four. And, of course, the issues that come after that was Iron Fist and Darius the Dragon and Captain Britain. 67 teams up with Tigra to take on Kraven the Hunter, which kind of basically takes place after the Marvel Chillers umbrella title that she was in. There's a team up with the Man-Thing, one of Steve Gerber's most famous creations. Oh, he's a little more known, and they take on this character called, let's see, Spire. Yeah, he's a very much... Here's what he looks like. This guy is so obscure. I mean, yeah, like, if you're not a regular comic reader like I am, I kind of know who this character is, but, yeah, it's completely unknown. Okay? Yeah. Then he teams up with Havoc, which this loosely connects what goes on the pages of X-Men. Yeah, it takes place after issue 110, this particular issue. Yep, 6-9 does. Actually, 6-9 and 70 are two-parter, where first part teams up with Havoc, the other one teams up with the Mighty Thor, and that's what the cover comes from. And then, of course, they don't include the next few issues. Now, I think Chris Claremont did do the rest of these issues, but my guess is the reason why they put them in here because John Byrne didn't work on them. Okay, and 75 teams up with Power Man, which is really nice. 74 is an issue they can't put into a trade because there is a reason for it. They can't put that issue in trade. They can put 71, 73 in a trade, fine. But the thing with 74 is they don't own because there are some legal problems with that one because that one he teams up with the cast of Saturday Night Live. Yep. Which was all the ones they had at that point. And from what I've heard, after the issue came out, John Belushi, the one who's now gone now, he actually loved the issue. And I'm surprised Marvel couldn't work with Saturday Night Live to actually allow them to reprint the issue and trade. So the only way I had to find it online I had to find it someplace online. I'm not going to say where I found it, but it's a really decent issue where they team up or Spider-Man teams up with the cast Saturday Night Live take on the Silver Samurai. Now, basically, yeah, that's the living monolith, aka the living pharaoh, aka the living planet, aka Juggernaut. Yep, he was Juggernaut during the last arc of Amazing X-Men. All the issues in here are classic and really good. I give this book a 9 out of 10. Awesome. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for episode 281 and Doubleshot number 212. Okay? Till then, see you there. Bye.